What's going on, guys? Ronan here, and I want to welcome you back to the channel. That last part was kind of crazy, wasn't it? Lysander being imprisoned. But before we get into today's part, I'm going to need you to take a look at this analytics stat bar right here. If you notice, 61% of you guys that are watching my content are not subscribed. So if you could do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a like on all the videos so that way we can get to a larger audience. But with all that being said, let's get into part 11 of What If Ash Was Born in Kalos. I hope you enjoy. Today we pick up with Ash and the rest of his group as they are traveling through the countryside of Kalos. Grant and Ash have been very friendly with each other lately, while for some reason, Alexa seems to have grown more distant ever since they left Snowbell City. She walks behind the two at a distance, kinda like she's avoiding them. This behavior, however, is not going unnoticed. Ash has asked Grant about it, but Grant just tells him he doesn't know, all the while Grant is secretly suspecting that Alexa may not be who she says she is. But regardless, he has no proof, and his orders are just to stick by Ash and make sure no harm comes to him. Though the group set out from Snowbell City about 2 weeks ago, they've been moving slow due to the pace that Alexa's been keeping them. However, this time has not been a waste for Ash and Grant. The two have been battling regularly. In particular, Ash has decided to use Chespin a little bit more. Ever since his battle with Wolfric and the fight that it put up, he's been wanting to get it more battle experience. He knows that the heart of a warrior beats under the timid exterior that Chespin puts out. Grant doesn't mind this, as he's been wanting to put in some work with his Tyrant as well. He feels like he's been kind of slacking ever since his battle with DIDNT, so he's wanting to make up for lost time. And the fact that Chespin is a dragon grass while his Tyrant is a dragon rock gives him the perfect type disadvantage to battle against it. Although Chespin still doesn't have quite the battle experience as the gym leader's main ace. So it does take a couple of losses here and there. But with each loss, it gets a little bit closer. Grant notices this, and he compliments both Ash and Chespin on their progress. The two have been syncing up more and more as of late. Grant comments that he doesn't know what happened to Ash while he was gone, but it seems to have been for the best. Ash just smiles, knowing full well he can't fully discuss what happened between him, his Pokemon, and their mysterious visitor. Regardless, at the end of the second week, the group does manage to reach their next destination, Curryaway Town, a small town in the easternmost part of the Kalos region. It is very rugged, set into the mountains above rivers that flow freely at its base. The only real thing that's an attraction for this place is the fact that it was built as a mining town in Kalos' past. But when the mine ran dry from natural resources, majority of the population left, leaving behind a town that's a shell of its former self. It's also home to Curryway Station, a train that's said to connect all the way to the Sinnoh region, wherever that is. But that doesn't matter, this is just a temporary stop for our heroes. Because they've been out on the road so long, they want to take a few days and relax at the Pokemon Center, which Alexa is all for, because she's really tired of being out on the road. Once at the center, Ash tries to talk to Alexa some more, wondering why she's been so distant from the rest of the group. Alexa tries to play it off, just saying, oh, she's got a lot on her mind. But Ash knows better. They've been traveling for a while now, and he knows that Alexa has some stuff on her mind, and he asks if it has to do with Viola. Alexa says no, it's just work. I'm almost done with my assigned tasks, but unfortunately, my boss wants me to collect more data. Ash, trying to be the friend that he is, tells her he'll help in any way that she can. She just smiles. Ash, you're a good kid. Don't ever change. Ash looks on a little bit confused about this statement, but the two are then interrupted by Grant, telling everybody that he's got a room for the night. This sparks the first engagement between Alexa and Grant since they left Snowbell City, as she asks for the key because she wants to take a shower to wash off the outdoors that she's been in for the last 2 weeks. Grant presents it, thinking this would be a perfect opportunity to talk with Ash alone, to try and figure out exactly what happened while he was gone. Alexa, excited, takes the key and heads off to the room, while Ash is finishing a meal that he had just started before Grant had walked up. Grant then casually sits down next to Ash, again bringing up the subject of the time that Ash spent away. Ash says he really can't talk about it. He actually really doesn't remember most of it. It was just him and his Pokemon training. It was a great bonding experience for us. So you don't know anything, Grant says. No, I didn't really learn anything new. I mean, I learned stuff about my Pokemon, but that's just typical when you spend time with them. True, Grant says, but you didn't learn anything else about them? Maybe them learning any type of new moves or displaying any type of odd behavior? No, it was just them, allowing us to grow closer. Although I will say that Chespin has been showing more of an aggressive side lately. Slowly, it's coming out of its shell, wanting to become a stronger battler. This just leads leaves Grant puzzled. Every time he talks to this kid about this, it's the same thing. He doesn't really know what it is, but he can tell that Ash isn't telling the whole truth. But as long as Ash is safe, the Pokemon are safe, and haven't been captured by Team Flare, then there's nothing that he really can do but sit back and watch from afar. A few hours later, and it is deep into the night. The Pokemon Center is quieted down for the evening. Ash, Alexa, and Grant are deep within sleep inside of their room, when all of a sudden, a loud commotion can be heard from the main lobby of the Pokemon Center. A crash, a bang. This jolts everyone awake, panicking in the confusion, not knowing what's going on. Absol is the first to its feet, looking at Ash, making sure that he's okay. Ash, a bit groggy, looks back at Absol, only to watch it take off towards the main lobby. Realizing that his starter has just left him behind, Ash jumps from the top bunk of his bed, bolting after it, leaving both Alexa and Grant to look on in curiosity. Out of the main lobby, crowd is gathered as Ash and Absol join them. The front doors of the center, they've been smashed in by Pokemon. Lairon, Aron, Pupitar, Graveler. They've all made their way inside of the center, but with no explanation. But one thing's for sure, these things, they're all hurt. They all lie unconscious on the floor, like they were trying to hide from an attacking pursuer. Ash looks at this, while Nurse Joy does what she can to tend to these Pokemon. What could have caused this type of damage, he thinks. Absol, however, finds itself at the door, looking off into the night. It doesn't know what it is, but something nearby. It can sense it. Something's not right. This is where Grant and Alexa join our young hero, being clued in to what's been happening. Ash then walks over to Absol to try and see if it's alright, but as he joins his young partner, they both witness something off in the distance. A beam of green energy shoots into the sky. Absol looks to Ash as his trainer looks back. They know whatever caused this damage to the Pokemon Center came from that direction. Without another word, Ash runs back to his room to get changed and grab his other Pokemon. Whatever's going on, it needs to be inspected. With Grant and Alexa now back into the room with him, trying to figure out what's going on, Ash just says he saw something in the distance. He's going to investigate. Grant says, wait, I'll come with you. But Ash is out the door before he can even complete the sentence, leaving the gym leader in a rush to catch up. Alexa, however, doesn't seem to be in a hurry, as she elects to stay behind to help in the Pokemon Center. Back with Ash outside, him and Absol are blind in the dark. He doesn't know where he's going, but he's confident that Absol does. After a while of making their way through a forest, they come to the edge of a mountain. Ash looks around, but he doesn't see anything. He's sure this is where that green light he saw came from, but there's nothing. Absol then bolts in a direction, heading away from Ash. Ash, noticing this, yells for it to wait as he tries to catch up. After what seems like an eternity of running, Ash is finally able to catch up to his Pokemon, as he spent most of his time running up the jagged pass of this mountain in pursuit of Absol, as it seemed whatever they needed to find was on the other side. And what Ash sees is not something he wanted to this late at night. Team Flare. Darn, I thought we were done with these guys. Why does it seem like whenever we forget about them, they just randomly pop up? As Ash looks on, while Mabel is giving orders to the grunts. From Ash's perspective, it seems that she's giving directions to all of the grunts, pointing to a cave that Ash can see that's nudged into the mountainside. Ash wonders what that is, but his thoughts are interrupted when Grant finally catches up to him. Ash, you really shouldn't run off like that. Arceus only knows what's out here. Ash then points. That's what's out here. As Grant beholds the uncountable amount of grunts that are down before them. It's like the size of an army, Grant replies. I know, Ash says, and it seems that whatever they're here for, it's in that cave. Grant remarks that that cave that they're pointing at is known as Terminus Cave. It was once a mine way back when, but when the natural minerals in it dried up, it was abandoned and has been uninhabited for many years. Why would they be pointing in there? Ash says he doesn't know, but they're gonna have to stop them. Whatever Team Flare's after, it can't be good. As he finishes that statement, the masses of Team Flare grunts begin to pile into this cave. Whatever it is must be important, because not one guard is left outside. Realizing that this is their chance, Ash and Absol take off down to the grounds right in front of the cave. Grant is in hot pursuit, telling Ash to hold on. They need to assess the rest of the situation first. But Ash and Absol aren't listening. All he knows is he can't let Team Flare get whatever they're after. Once they reach just outside the cave, all the supplies that Team Flare had brought with them, they're just sitting there, completely unguarded. Grant finds this odd. He doesn't know what is going on, but whatever they're after must be important if they're going to leave all of this equipment unmanned. No matter though, Grant does agree with Ash on one thing. They can't let Team Flare grab whatever they're after. So the two quickly formulate a plan, and it requires their smallest Pokemon. So Ash sends out Chespin and Slugma, while Grant sends out Tyrant. According to a map that Grant has with him, Terminus Cave has two separate tunnels. Unfortunately, they're going to have to split up if they wish to have any chance at finding Team Flare or what they're up to. Grant tells Ash that he's going to take the tunnel that heads north into the mountain, while Ash will take the tunnel that heads west. He then tells Ash that if they run into any trouble, they'll call each other before engaging. Ash agrees, while looking at Slugma, Chespin, and Absol. Everyone understands the plan, so with that, the two head in the cave, splitting up as they go. Grant was no fool though. He ended up giving Ash the path that he knew was the safest. According to his map, it just leads to a dead end, so Ash really shouldn't encounter any Team Flare grunts or any super powerful wild Pokemon. Looking at Tyrant, he tells it that they need to move faster. They have to catch up to Team Flare, as the two disappear off into the darkness. On the other hand, we flash over to Ash. Him and his 3 Pokemon are walking through the tunnel. Things are a little dark, but luckily Slugma, being a fire type, provides the glow that they need to see through the cave. Unfortunately, it is a slug, and it moves extremely slow, so the group is bound by the pace of it. Fortunately for Ash and his patience, they don't have to wait very long, as up ahead, they see a light of some sort, and he can hear commotion coming from beyond the light. Realizing that Ash needs to move a little bit faster or he could get caught, he recalls Slugma, thanking it for the help that it gave him. Then he tells Chespin and Absol that they need to move, otherwise they could be caught. The two nod as they rush towards the light, trying to catch any type of cover that they have. Luckily for them, there's some good rocks to hide behind once they make it through the opening. Ash looks around and he sees multiple tunnels in this one main room that they're in. These don't look like the other tunnel. The other tunnel looked like it was old. It had been there for a long time, but these all look fresh, like they were dug recently. Then he overhears the one person that he wants a crack at, Mabel. She's discussing what's going on. She says that what they're searching for is here, in the cave. They just have to find it. Then she orders all of her grunts to fan out, heading down the multiple avenues and to report back whenever they find something. Mabel then pulls out her radio and begins having a conversation with someone on the other end. Ash doesn't really care about the conversation. It's at this point Chespin on Ash's shoulder pulsates, and Ash can feel it. Then it falls from his shoulder, only for Ash to catch it right before it hits the ground. Seems to be in a dazed and confused state, and Ash doesn't know why. He tries to shake it to wake it up a little bit, with it briefly regaining its faculties before looking around, not sure what just happened. But then it happens again. This time though, Chespin looks down one of the caves that the Team Flare grunts had gone down. It's like something is calling it. It looks at Ash, and then it begins to point. We should go that way? It nods. Ash then tells Absol, let's go. But as Ash takes the steps towards the tunnel that Chespin was pointing to, he overhears part of the conversation with Mabel, and the name that comes up is Lysander. This stops Ash dead in his tracks. Now he wants to listen. Lysander's gone missing, and she knows where he's at. But it's at this point that Chespin and Absol are trying to push their trainer down the cave before they get noticed. This starts to cause a struggle, and unfortunately, it captures the attention of the one person they were trying to avoid, Mabel. As she tells the person on the other end of the line to hold on, she hears something, turning to see Ash, Chespin, and Absol in the open. You, she screams. Oh, I've waited for this. Ash, now realizing what a fool he's been and that his cover is blown, tries to take off, but Mabel won't let him, sending out her Manectric to block his path. Ash grits his teeth. Great. Mabel tells Ash that he won't be going anywhere. Those Pokemon that he has, he's going to be handing them over today. It's the only way that she's going to be able to get past the problem of having to deal with this damp and dark, dirty cave. Ash tells her she's crazy. She won't be leaving here with anything of his. Oh, on the contrary, Ash, you can say since the last time that we've met, my Pokemon have upgraded. As she flashes what Ash knows to be a keystone, and without hesitation, she activates it as Manectric glows in an aura. Then a mighty cry can be heard as Ash realizes the kind of trouble that he's actually in, as Mega Manectric makes itself known. Gritting his teeth, he doesn't know how he's going to get out of this, as Mabel orders her first attack. Back over at the Pokemon Center, Alexa is deep within a conversation. The person she's talking to on the other end isn't happy that she isn't with Ash, but she is refusing to do his dirty work anymore. She's provided everything that they need. Now they need to fulfill their end of the bargain, or the data she has, they won't be getting it. The person on the other end of the line tells her that blackmail won't be necessary, and it would be a bad idea for her to pursue that any further. Then they end the call abruptly, as Alexa is now unsure of what she should be doing. Back over with Grant, he's made his way through the tunnel. Unfortunately for him, the tunnel that he thought Team Flare had gone down seems to be empty. There's no signs of any recent activity from anything besides Pokemon in this tunnel, and it's at this point an explosion can be felt rocking through the cave. Fearing the worst, Grant then bolts back down the tunnel from whence he came, hoping that Ash is safe. Back over with Ash, the battle with him and Mabel is in full swing. Both Absol and Chespin are doing what they can to fend off Mega Manectric. Unfortunately, the power boost that it's gotten is unreal, and his two Pokemon are having trouble keeping up. Luckily, Chespin does provide some cover, absorbing some of the electric attacks, protecting Absol. The two do have synchronicity. Unfortunately, their synchronicity isn't enough to counter the raw power of this Pokemon. Ash knows this, and unfortunately, he feels like he's going to be on the losing end. Getting ready, Ash pulls out another Pokeball, preparing to send in Rampardos. It is at this point that a loud crash can be heard from the tunnel that Chespin wanted to go down. Then an unfathomable amount of Team Flare grunts erupts from the cave, screaming, "Run!" Mabel looks on. "You fools, did you find it?" All she can gather is that there's a monster in the cave, and they will not have anything to do with it. Mabel smiles, telling Manectric to keep those two occupied. She will handle this. Manectric then goes on a vicious attack, not giving Ash, Absol, or Chespin any room to breathe. Ash does what he can to fend off Mega Manectric with Absol and Chespin. Unfortunately, Chespin just still doesn't have the power to contend with the Mega Evolution. Things then take a turn south when a giant Pokemon emerges from the tunnel from where all the Team Flare grunts had been running from. Ash doesn't know what this thing is, but he does know that they need to get out of there, because whatever it is angry, and it is rampaging. Ash yells at Chespin and Absol to retreat. Absol heeds his command, but Chespin, it's not moving. It's just stuck there, like it's in another trance. Ash sees this and tells Absol to block an attack from Mega Manectric. It intercepts with its horn, pushing it back as much as it can, while Ash runs up to Chespin to gather it. It is this point that he witnesses Mabel pick up some sort of device that she blasts this giant Pokemon with. Then he overhears her say, "Zygarde, you will be Team Flare's. You have no way around this." Ash looks on, thinking, Zygarde? That's the name of this Pokemon? As the giant snake-like Pokemon writhes in pain, trying to escape whatever it's being shot with. It is at this point that it begins to glow in a green aura, the same color that Ash saw shoot into the sky not too long ago. That's when it clicks. That must be what Ash saw. It's at this point that Absol is pushed back to Ash's side. Mega Manectric is getting the best of it. Knowing that he's going to need some support, Ash sends in Rampardos, telling it to provide some cover so they can get out of here. Ash then tries to snap Chespin out of its funk, but it won't move. With nothing else to do, Ash then picks up Chespin while he, Absol, and Rampardos head back the way they came. Unfortunately though, it quickly becomes blocked by this giant serpent Zygarde as it thrashes about trying to escape this beam that seems to have encased its aura. It's in pain, Ash thinks. Then something happens. All of a sudden, Zygarde glows, and then a giant pulse of energy breaks away. Whatever this beam was meant to contain Zygarde, but this pulse shatters the beam, and thousands upon thousands of little hexagonal things spread throughout the cave. All the while, a surge of green aura erupts from the epicenter. Ash is in the direct path of this aura. Unfortunately, he's too slow to evade it, as he and his Pokemon are enveloped in it. This causes Chespin to pulsate in his arms. Then, without warning, it begins to glow. Realizing what's happening, Ash sets Chespin down. Was it that surge of aura that caused this, he thinks to himself, as he watches Chespin change its form rapidly, as it takes on its second evolution into Quilladin. Ash then pulls out his Pokédex. This thing is unlike any Quilladin he's ever seen before. The Pokédex also agrees with him, as it has no data on this form of Quilladin. It also is much different in its appearance than what is inside the Pokédex. But before Ash can even communicate with it, Quilladin is on the attack. For whatever reason, it seems to have become very aggressive, and it's taken after anything that's close to it. It's attacking any Team Flare Grunt, any Pokemon. It then turns its attention to Mabel. Mabel, then realizing that she's in trouble, tries to shoot Quilladin with the beam that she was shooting that giant Zygarde with. But it just does not have the power to contain the rollout from Quilladin, and he pushes through the beam, shattering the device in her hands. Then, it tries to go on the attack after her directly. Ash, realizing that Quilladin is on some sort of rampage due to its evolution, tells Rampardos to interfere. It needs to stop it. Using its bulky defense and its speed, Rampardos rushes in, knocking Quilladin with a head smash. This gets the little grass dragon's attention as Team Flare and Mabel evacuate the cave out of fear for what's going to happen next. Ash, not knowing what to do, tries to reach his Pokemon, but Quilladin doesn't care. It's on the attack against Rampardos and against Absol. Fortunately for Ash, Rampardos has the defense needed to ward off this little evolved monster, because with one well-timed Iron Head, it smashes Quilladin on top of its head, putting it in the ground, knocking it out. Ash then quickly recalls it before anything else happens. It is at this point that Grant enters the room, wondering what happened. Ash is just in awe. He can't find the words. He doesn't really understand it himself. All he can really muster is giant Pokemon Zygarde, evolution of Chespin, and Team Flare. That's it. Sort of in a state of shock, Grant does what he can to calm the boy down, telling him that they need to go back to the Pokemon Center. It's the safest place at this time. Ash at least has enough sense to agree with that, recalling Rampardos as he, Absol, Tyrant, and Grant all walk off. But little do they know, one of those hexagonal shapes seems to be interested in the group. Back over at the Pokemon Center, things have sort of calmed down. The doors have been temporarily fixed for the night, and all of the Pokemon that broke through them have been cared for. It is at this point that Ash and Grant arrive back, only for Alexa to see the shape that Ash is in. Concerned, she asks him what's going on. Grant says he really doesn't know. He's been like this since we left the cave, as Ash is just quiet. He's unsure of how to articulate what just happened. Both Alexa and Grant, out of care for Ash, decide that they need to get him to bed. All the while, with everything that's been happening, a tall, strange man is on the outskirts of Kuraway Town, quite curious to the events that just took place in Terminus Cave. And that's all we have for What If Ash Was Born in Kalos Part 11. How'd you guys feel about this part? What's going on with Alexa? Team Flare seems to be moving very quickly in the background. And how do you feel about the evolution of Chespin? Let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to follow me on my other social medias like Twitter, and hop into my Discord. If you're looking to create content of your own, that's the spot to be, because my new moderators plus the people that are in there are looking to grow it, and they're also looking to create content of their own and help other people. So that's the spot you want to be if you're interested in that. Also, don't forget to follow me on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get 1 week early access to all of my content. Not to mention that my Patreon exclusive content and YouTube exclusive content will be going live as of this month. So if you don't want to miss out on everything, don't forget to head over there. But anyway, without further ado, let's sign out the video the best way we know how, and thanking the sponsors, the patrons: Silverheart Soul, Robert, Vegito Gaming 78, Andrew McCartney, Holosiv, Julian Rodriguez, Ruben Watson, Lord Explosion Murder, Assassin 139, Flyer 943, Shadow Dragon, K McKnight, Kevin Atran, Drax, Truevolt, Adrian Carr, Dino King, Dalen Silva, Fox King, Dalion Petit, Warren E. Taylor, Plus Ultraman, Megar, Mike Logan, Team Valor, Kendall Green, Earth Dragon, John Larson, and Josh Van Meppelin. Thank you all very much, and I will see you in the next video.